Chuck's motion was to table, we need a second, or we can read them and then approve them now. So that's the debate going on right now.
What was the first part you said? I'm sorry. I heard the read them and then debate.
Well, Chuck made a comment that he hadn't got to see them because they came out this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Michael offered to read them, and Chuck wanted to wait till the next meeting. But he would have to have a second for that to happen.
Okay, good.
And then we would vote on it. Or we just go on with Michael reading them, and then we would have a vote. Second to move them, but to delay them.
Who's second?
Mary.
Mary did.
So we have a second for the table motion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll discuss it again.
They're less than a page long, correct?
Yeah,
It's like 10 sentences?
Yeah.
yeah.
But I would oppose tabling if we can read 10 sentences.
So we'll vote on that. Okay. All those in favor of tabling it, say yay.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay. So we're gonna have Michael read them right
Okay.
now. You do have, if you have a computer, you're able to read along.
The meeting was called to order at 10:12 a.m. by Candy Pratt in Phoenix, Arizona. Roll call was taken of Association's president at the meeting, confirm the quorum is present. Motion to approve the last meeting minutes, motion passed, no corrections were noted. David Hill presented the treasurer's report. Candy welcomed the trustees, the new trustees to the board. I need to add the word new, which was RJ, Wes, and Chuck Browning. Candy provided updates from the executive board meetings that we had prior to the meeting in Phoenix. The rodeo management system has been selected from Alberta, Canada. The system will be piloted this weekend here in Phoenix. The Calgary Rockies Rodeo Association rodeo requested a date change to the weekend of August 2nd to 4th, which was approved. Tommy Channel presented the new 2019 insurance from Kayla's Insurance. There are increases for all insurance this year. Then committee reports, Jack Morgan presented the bid for 2019 convention in Denver, Colorado for November 22nd through 24th. The room rate is $98 per night. Michael Norman motion to approve, seconded by Jeffrey Neal, motion passed. Amy Griffin reminded everyone that the Hall of Fame nominations are due by March 1st of this year. We continue to look for a marketing chair. I was going to fix that. Corporate audit report from Ed Berry was provided. New business, Tommy Channel noted we needed current membership lists from some associations. Be sure they are provided as required by our bylaws. Their dated association name in alphabetical order. At the time, we had a number of associations that had very aged membership lists. Michael Norman requested associations send in their current board members' names, email, phone numbers, and so forth. The Kayla insurance cost alignment was provided. David invoiced the association. Las Vegas rodeo application for September 21st and 22nd was approved. Rodeo school requests from the following associations were approved: Nevada, Red River, and Diamond State. A DSA rodeo variance for arena size was approved. The Media Arts Lightspeed Group was approved to use the IDRE logo. No other new business was brought up. Each association provided announcements for their associations, and EPRB meeting will follow this meeting. Board of Directors meeting was adjourned.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the moment.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just, I think you noted a couple typos in there.
Yeah.
The A for as, us for use.
Wes Givens.
Adding new trustees.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see that when I was
But
reading
there's
that.
nothing of substance. So.
Right.
Christopher. Are they out of Alberta or Toronto?
Yes.
Toronto,
I really, I don't know. Gene, do you know?
Toronto.
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 I thought it was Calgary.
Okay. Schedule you up first. Oh, true, forgot that, Mark. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Approved. Treasurer's report? Miss it? Oh, there it is. I see it.
Yeah, right there.
You snuck right in. We
He's
want
been sitting
to.
there.
I know, but
David, just say yes.
Yes.
we want to welcome the new GPRA trustee, David Harbaugh.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Welcome.
For what it's worth, he got indoctrinated rather well in Little Rock. He got to do the checklist.
Came back.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, does everybody know where the financials are on the website? Does everybody have a username and password to get to them?
I do not, David. I don't. I know where they are. I don't have a username or password.
Well, you need to talk to Frank and get that information so that you can get them on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Okay. I had some computer problems. I had to rebuild some of my data files, so I had to recreate the financials, but they're all dated the same day, but they're all out there. As of the 22nd, the following associations owe money. CRGRA, 809.67 for insurance. DSRA, 350 for sponsorship. Bay Area Chapter, 463.50 for insurance. MIGRA, 238.19 for insurance. SRRA, 238.19 for insurance. TGRA, 90.57 for rodeo numbers. I'm told they have a check for me. And UGRA, 701.69 for insurance.
I went ahead and forwarded what you sent me to those associations ahead of time as well. So they've gotten it twice.
Any questions for me?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. I won't have much of a report today just because of my voice. I hope that everyone can visit as many rodeos as they can this year to support all of our associations. I'm certainly going to do it. We've had 2 great rodeos so far. See a lot of you people there and really appreciate everybody making the extra effort. Keep it up. We had one rodeo fall off already. Just, for unforeseen circumstances, they couldn't do anything about it. But we still need to plug along and support all the ones that we have. So I hope to see everybody there. Mary, you got anything?
Do I?
Yep.
I do.
Okay.
I do. So just kind of an update on the team, the royalty team that's going on. I have 3 members that have met their financial requirements. Their financials are due, requirements are actually due by the end of June. So I have 5 members who have not met that. And hopefully they will get that taken care of, but there's no promises on that.
Mary, may I ask what the requirement is, please?
The financials?
Yes.
Depending on their title sash color. So the black sashes are $1,500. The red sashes are 1,200, and the white sashes are 1,000. I've had, Travis James has met his requirements, Iona Double Wide has met her requirements, and Maria has met her requirements. Those are the three that have met them, the rest have not. Again, they have till the end of June to meet their financials.
Thank you. Is that by the end of June to meet that full requirement?
They're not, they're really
Financial.
requirements,
That's
just their
financial.
financials, yes. They have till the end of June. That's when they're supposed to have met all their financial requirements. So I have sent emails out and reminded them of that, and I've asked them for their updates. I've gotten word on some, I haven't gotten word on others, so we will we'll see what happens there.
What
So
happens at
hopefully-
the end of June if they
At the end of
haven't?
June?
Yeah.
At the end of June, if they have not met the requirements, or there is no plan to meet the requirements, or they have no kind of anything coming in, then it's recommended that they step down from the title. They're very aware of this, it's all in the bylaws, standing rules, it's all there, so they're aware of this. But, so that's just an update on how things are going.
Just a reminder, if they're using PayPal to pay for things, I need to know who it goes to and what.
And that's, and also everybody, that has been a tough one this year. With PayPal is a new thing. They're doing these online fundraisers. It's very difficult to keep track of that as it just goes to the PayPal account, and sometimes they don't put what it's for, and so it just goes into there, and if they don't send me copies or if I don't know about it, it's very difficult to track exactly. So I've been dependent on going back and forth with David, asking him what's coming in, and the team members to send me their information, and that hasn't been communicated very well. So I have numbers of everybody that has sent me things, and I've gotten with David and asked him for numbers, and so we're trying to match all those up as far as the online stuff. The checks, things like that, those are very easy because I get copies, he gets copies of checks, and they're very simple. So the online fundraising has been an issue as far as keeping track. So, but yes, when they do that, and they don't put what it's for, and I don't get a form saying that they've done the fundraiser and this is how much we've raised, it's also been a problem. So these issues are coming up this year with that.
I don't want to throw a monkey wrench into things, but let's say for instance, I'm a royalty person and I'm doing a fundraiser. If I go and put a different PayPal account on there, would anyone know that it's not an accurate PayPal account?
We wouldn't. We don't have a way to track that, and that's a problem as well.
Okay.
If they, and I've advised them of the PayPal account, the IGRA admin account, and that's what they're supposed to be using. If they don't use that, I don't know.
So when we look at these promotions online, as a contributor, would I see that it's going to PayPal, IGRA, or?
It should be, yes.
Okay.
It should be.
You would, so it very, could do, could do equal checks, you can go me 1 cent or something, $1 or something, we could always
Yeah.
put that.
Yeah. So it's much harder to track these online ones that they're doing.
Right.
It's very hard to check that. So I just have to depend that they're going into the account, and David updates me when he gets stuff. So, yeah, that's where that's at. Yes, Frank?
David's going to get with me in a little while, and I'm going to show him how we can set this stuff up to solve that problem.
Okay. Yeah. That'd be great, because it's been, like I said, it's been kind of tough tracking it. I'm depending on them to tell me this is what we did, and
How are they making donations now?
that's what they're doing. They're going through the PayPal account.
No, that's not what I mean. That's how do they actually get you the money? Do they send you an email with information on it?
They send me, yes, an email, and I get what David sent me, the numbers that have come in.
Got it.
Yeah.
There are several ways this can be done. We can set it up to do a different method, which David will know exactly where it's coming for.
Yeah, and we need to, I think it's something we need to work on for this. if they're gonna do
It's
that
easy
stuff.
to do.
Good. yes, but, I mean, I think they're coming along. I think there's a few people that only have a little bit to go, so I think by the end of June they'll all have it. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Any more questions? Cool.
All right. It's been a very interesting last 6-7 months for me. I've had some dramatic developments take place, and where I'm working at will come to an end in the first week of July. And so I am what they call being benched, and they're realigning cost. And so, but I've got new opportunities on the horizon, so I'll be changing jobs, and the future job won't be as demanding as this one is for sure. Had some personal issues first part of this year medically, and with getting things on track, and I'm glad to say that we finally got the rule books done. We had rule books in Little Rock, and still have a little bit of hair left after working with the printers. But other than that, things are good.
So are we gonna make sure that the missing information is posted every rodeo?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's in further down in the agenda, but yeah.
Oh. You brought up the rule book, so
Yeah.
that opens you up.
Oh, okay. There is one item missing out of the rule book for steer deco. The brightly colored ribbon requirement didn't get into the book. That is added into the big book. So there are 5 rodeos that we will provide notice ahead of time to make sure that they have the brightly colored ribbons for steer deco. The only other thing that has been noted in the small book is that the pattern for I think the barrel changed. I did not get a new pattern, and no new pattern was shown at convention. So we're going to work with the Rodeo Rules folks to get that updated pattern, because the old pattern is still in the book. There was no new pattern submitted. Those are the only 2 things that I'm aware of that are an issue in our rule book.
I have another one.
Okay.
Any questions for Michael? We'll wait for Brian's en route, so we'll wait on him. He did it here.
Oh, okay.
It was in 2 places.
Okay.
Look, you
Okay.
get it there
Yeah.
and there. This was weird.
Yeah.
See? Okay. Tommy?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, first and foremost, I am about to order a new stock of rodeo numbers. And Wes presented some beautiful graphics for WGRF. So my question to you guys and ladies, are we still happy with this design? Seeing Wes's beautiful designs there just kind of perked my imagination that we have been using this for many, many, many years, which is adequate. But would you like to see something different other than the rule book specifications, which is height, width, that kind of thing? If you're fine with this, supporting associations that support the communities, that was developed probably 20 years ago, I don't know, or 15, however long ago. If you're happy with this, I will order adequate stock. If not, I would ask someone to give me a graphic to...
Can we work on it and talk about it in Denver? Or do you need it before
I
that?
need to order, I can order a small supply. If it is this room's contention that you may want something different, I can order, half a dozen or a dozen packets, and then if we want to change, then I'll order more. If that's... If that's the route?
Wes and I are willing to take that project on, if everyone's okay with that, and we'll submit, I guess, directly to you or to the entire board.
Well,
However you
probably
want.
for approval in January.
Okay.
In July.
I just think that saying on the bottom's a little dated,
That's when
and
he said
Well,
something
I
about
agree.
animal safety.
I absolutely agree. And I saw those graphics from West, and I thought, wow, maybe now's the time to.
okay.
When they make that presentation, they give us a cost estimate of what the difference would be, what we have now versus what the new would be.
What was that again?
When they make the presentation, can we get like a cost
There
difference?
probably, I don't think there probably would be much if
Right.
any.
Maybe
That
Saturday.
is black, red, and white. So
If
you
you're
add
gonna do
more
a
color.
four-color, there may be a
Right.
cost increase.
Yeah.
And there might be a setup charge, or one-time setup
Yeah,
charge, or
so-
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we understand. We'll try to keep it within.
If you get me something that you're gonna present at the board, I can get a quote on the cost.
Hey, Tom, can we ask printers that we have in Little Rock that owe us the plant services all the money, what they would do it for? Because they might be able to get it cheaper, and we could do a trade.
Absolutely.
And I really like that idea because they are doing us,
See,
there's someone that we already do business with. I don't know who you do that with. Maybe we do other business with.
they owe us $12,000 plant services, so we're gonna donate it to, and use it, so if we can do it that way and get them to do it,
Okay.
I'll talk to
Hey,
you.
if we save money, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all I have, Candy. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Oh,
Was that report sent out?
Yeah.
okay. Carried it.
IGRA Corporate Auditor Report for the spring meeting, May 24th, 2009. Report covering January through May, 5 months received since the last report. Prior report for the period 12/31/2018, delivered at winter 2019. Received January through May 2019. That should be April. May's not done. I had full access to the books and records and related reconciliations of IGRA. I received January through April 2019 bank reconciliations. They reconcile and agree to the general ledger. I reviewed the income statement and balance sheets for both months, which included a comparison to the prior year. The income in the balance sheet agreed to the income on the income statement, retained earnings rolled forward appropriately. The income statements look reasonable when compared to the activity of the prior year and activity observed in the general ledger. I reviewed the general ledger for deposits and cash expense transactions for January through April. There were 146 transactions for this period and a total of 163 line items for deposits, expenditures during this audit year. Some deposit expenditures covered multiple line items of detail. Using a random number generator found at random.org, I ran a random sample covering 10% of the deposit expenditures rolled up to 15 items in the review period. All of the deposits examined tied to the general ledger, as did all transactions for the expenditures in the sample of 15. There was one exception from the prior period that was off less than $3 a deposit, and we resolved that discrepancy as a fee item. All of the deposits and expenditures in the current period examined appear to be properly supported either by receipt or fees found on the bank statements. All expenditures All expenditures, receipts, support confirms to the IRS publication 463 rules on receipt limits, i.e. $75 and higher. I am able to report that to the IGRA Board of Directors that nothing out of the ordinary was noted in the sample of IGRA transactions. I would like to thank our treasurer, David Hill, for his continued excellent work. Please note this is an internal audit review as prescribed by the bylaws, and nor is it intended to be an external independent audit performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and accordingly no opinion is expressed on the financial statements in this respect. Respectfully submitted, Ed Bear, 5/22/19.
I doubt I can say any questions because nobody's going to answer them.
Will you approve it or not?
So- Yep. The only other person I see in the room is Christopher, under yours.
Yep. So this is a report of the Technology Committee.
Yeah.
I'll start with a little bit of history. As you know, the system we've been using has been used since 80?
84.
Yeah, so we have contestants that are born after this software was created. The software is sort of limited. We can't do some of the edits and changes that we need to do. Windows may, at any moment, the next version of Windows may no longer support what the software is running on. So we're kind of forced into a corner, as well as trying to keep up and keep fresh and sort of start to do what some of the contestants expect because of other rodeos and barrel races and things that they attend. So we want to be more modern. So that's why we started this whole process. So that brings us up to the beginning, or up to date now. Gene did a huge amount of work. We really owe him a great deal of gratitude. I had looked for some rodeo software and was really unsuccessful. Gene weeded through several others and found RMS, that stands for Rodeo Management System. He worked with the programmers and defined rules and got the basics really set up and defined and got it where we could start to run alongside, sort of in the background, mirroring our rodeos. And that's what we've been doing now for the last few rodeos. So we're using the system now just for entries only, and we've kind of worked out some kinks. The way we're going to do this for the rest of the year is we're going to continue to run it in the background. Just because we get a little bit further each rodeo we go to and everything we run, and we run into some new things that we haven't thought about. So we're continuing to do that. I'm hopeful, actually I'm really hopeful that by the beginning of next year we'll be able to run entirely on the new system. It will require a lot of other people's support. We've got to do some education. I've got to get some other people on board so they know how to use the system. And even then, once we start running the system, there are still features that are embedded in it that we haven't even touched on that we can add later. It's not something we don't have to use every feature that's in it right now, but it will help us in the future. It's very communicative. As somebody enters, it sends them an email. It takes them to PayPal. They make their payment. It shows that. They send that as a payment. David Hill gets inundated with all kinds of communications from the system because everything, anytime it happens, he gets an email. Whoever we designate as the person to receive registrations for the association gets an email the association's made. Currently, because I really haven't gotten anybody else into the system and able to look around themselves, I send out a report roughly daily that shows all the entrants and all the horse stalls and the amount of money and who's paid and all that. So every day whoever's association keeps up on what we're doing. We keep running into little odd things. For example, horse stalls. That's kind of been a stick in the craw for this whole time. It's a change, right? And change is hard for us to do. We've designed a lot of our workflows alongside the old system and what the old system could do and couldn't do and needed. So it's kind of time for us to look and see if maybe we can make it easier. Certainly it's going to be easier on David. All the manual work. I don't know if you have any idea what David does in the background to make all this work at every rodeo. It's a huge amount of manual work. So horse stalls, we had, so we have a regular horse stall and an additional horse stall. Well, that was all good. That seemed to work just fine. Texas Rodeo pointed out to me that now there's a difference between a horse stall and a tack stall if it's an additional stall. Not only that, there's another rule that says if you have 2 additional horse stalls, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th is all at whatever the grounds rate is. So it was turning something so simple as getting a horse stall has turned into something really complex and trying to get the rules set. So there may be some things I might bring up at convention to see if we can kind of uncomplicate our way of doing things. We'll see how that plays out. We're learning more every time we do a rodeo. We learn a little bit more about the system and what we're doing and what goes on in the background and what's needed. And that's really the key, is what's needed. What do we actually need to run this rodeo? So it's going really well. We're ready for registrations are all done for Texas. We're ready to put all that in. The biggest pain in the ass, and it's not just for RMS, it's for the old system as well, is in entry when partners aren't entered. Because now we have to go and find that person's number and find that person's name and look at the sheet. And we can't do anything. We can't continue the process until at registration we've got all this stuff entered and then match up partners and match it. Yeah. So that's why the people in the background are at registration until 11 or midnight, sorting all this out instead of just being done at 8 o'clock. So that's kind of been a little bit of a pain. One really fun thing that happened, it was kind of unexpected. Like I said, I'm still learning the system and learning what all it does. At registration in Palm Springs, I don't remember the contestant's name, but they were going to be late, so somebody had already filled out their form and entered for them. Well, as soon as they got off a plane, they got an email from the system saying, hey, you've been registered, would you like to pay? They hit the pay button and paid. They walked in the door at registration, they were complete and just had to sign a piece of paper. Everything else was in the system, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's really how this all should go. It was instant and almost paper-free. So there are a lot of advantages, and I think we can learn to create some more advantages. I'm open, I'm transparent, and really open for input. So anybody who's interested, or if you have anyone in your association who is interested in learning this and would like to help, I'm asking the people at Zia Rodeo if they can provide, a couple of people with laptops and who will sit. Registration's the hardest, the most time consuming. Running the rodeo is a piece of cake. So that all works out really well. Anyway, so that's where we are. The progress is going good. Every rodeo we make a little bit more progress. Haven't started working on the points and cash yet. That's still down the road. But we're able to at this point post running order. We really haven't made that public yet, but you could log on and see what your draw was and where you are. Yes.
Is there any way that we can get the standings to update?
Get the who?
The standings?
Once we get all the points and the cash and all that, yes. So right now we kind of found a little glitch in the way that it was basically set up. We set it up, and let's make it too technical. So we have one performance with 2 goes. Unfortunately, the goes are summing. So the second day, I can't separate the second day from the first day because it sums as it goes. So when I look at the results for the second day, it's really your final score. I mean, it really is everything.
Oh, it does your
average. Yeah, I
on
can't
your
show that
go.
today, here's what you did, here's your placement. Here's what it is. So basically, it's the buckle winners that come out. So we're going to have to redo some of that. And we're talking, they've done so much customization because obviously, as you guys know, having attended convention, our rules are not, shall we say, normal. We're an exceptional bunch with exceptional rules. So we're having to make a lot of customization to the system just to match what we're doing. No ordinary rodeo would have wild drag, a 3-man team. Sounds simple, but in the programming of the system, trying to get the team set up in the cash division and matching partners and all that. So for every entry, there's actually 3 entries in wild drag. anyway, they're just simple things like that that we have to work out. So there's a lot of custom programming, and at this point, he's put enough time into it that he's sort of let us know that he will need some more funding in order to continue to give us the attention that we need. So we're discussing that and trying to get some pricing for him. And the way they charge is by rodeo, so there is a fee for each rodeo that we do going forward. Any other questions, Frank?
Comment on what you said, something to keep in mind at convention of changing rodeo rules. It's going to have an effect on what we end up paying for. I'm not saying don't change rules, just be very careful about what you put in there, like the barrel situation that happened this year.
Yeah, I mean, it just gives us a time. This is a good time for us, just sort of like we're looking at the numbers, back numbers. It's a good time for us to kind of look and see what would we like to see happen. What do we see happening at other rodeos and at other barrel races and pole races, and so it's kind of time to step back and not just say this is the way we do it, but to look and say what do we need? What would I like to see in the future? What would be great? The mail-in ballots, that's something that has come to mind. It's like, mail-in really is kind of old school. It's like, why do we need mail-in ballots? I mean, again, this is probably something for convention to talk about that, but that's an idea of some of the things that can be changed. A mail-in ballot, if you don't have a computer or don't have a phone or don't know technology or want to do that, call me, call your friends. Everybody's got a way to enter. Entering is easy. It's not like we're blocking somebody. Anyway, just a thought. But that's just an example of some of the things where we have an advantage now to move into, at least the 20th century, if not the 21st century. Yes, sir.
So on the standings thing,
Yes.
is there do we think that's going to happen this year, or do we think we're waiting?
It's not going to happen this year in the RMS system, and a couple
So then
of reasons.
what are we doing,
We're
for
doing
standings?
it just like we always have.
So where is that?
It's not posted.
Okay,
Adam used to do that, but I don't know.
so the reason that's got to be posted is, number one, it's posted, that's kind of like why we did the whole money and all that stuff, is it's supposed to draw interest in your rodeos that are adding money to your events. Because, I'm here in the standings, but I'm going to go somewhere with added money so that I can jump up in the standings. So if the standings aren't being seen, then nobody's going to care.
Right. Well, the money and points are
we'll
not.
get Christopher, Frank, and David, and I will make a plan to get it posted.
Yeah, that sounds good.
How's that?
So here's another problem that I have with standings. If you look at standing rule XII, section 13, item B, it states, contestant point accumulation. A contestant may accumulate points in any IGRA sanctioned rodeo. B, the contestant's top 6 placements during the rodeo year will count towards their invitation to finals rodeo. Then you go to rodeo rules, XVI, finals rodeo invitation process. It says each contestant's world points in each event will count towards the finals rodeo selection / invitation. Those two conflict.
Right, so that was just something that got missed this year in the,
So I think we need
It
an
was-
interpretation
it was
as to which one it is.
yeah.
That top one was supposed to be taken out.
Yeah, I agree.
But
It's not
there.
supposed to be there.
it's supposed to be all your points that you get everywhere.
All your world points, yes.
Yep.
Only one.
And that other one was.
And it's not
was
the top
underlined.
6, it's
I move that we interpret, based on the activities in the vote of convention, that the rodeo rules section for finals qualification is the correct method we're using this year, and that the bylaws are not correct.
standing rule.
Excuse me, standing rules.
I second
Doesn't that need to be in the trustees meeting?
I think so. I was just about to. It overlaps,
Okay.
and this board is a little bit higher authority than the trustees.
So as far as confidence in the numbers. So in the RMS system, that's another reason why we're running out the rest of the year. I don't want to change systems and take a chance of having an error in the calculation of those points. So everything has been entered and run through the old system, just like it always has. So we can get the same data out of the old system and it will be accurate.
And we can get that updated.
By the end of the year, RMS will be correct, and then next year we'll be able to, anybody can log in at any time and see their standings, and that's another advantage of the RMS system. Any other questions about the rodeo management system? Anybody want to volunteer to learn it and look around?
Hang on, we took over Christopher's report and then went into a discussion. He knows that, Christopher. So was there any more well, you take a vote first, and then, no? Discussion on the Mike motion, David seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, we'll go by the full points. Anyway, Jack?
I just wanted to commend Gene and Chris and yourself and everybody that's put so much effort and energy on this. And it's nice to see us moving forward and seeking other avenues. So thank you. It's taken a lot of work.
To let everybody know, this gentleman in Toronto has done all this stuff free. And so that everybody in this room knows, there's a $12,000 budget approved. So I have told Christopher, we need to talk to him and see what he needs for us to move forward, because it's well deserved for all the work that he's done. So that's where some of our money is going, is we're gonna keep Galen happy and going so that we can, at a push of a button, you can get everything. So
He's got other clients in other rodeos, so he's kind of moved us to the back burner because we've been a little needy. It's like, once a month I've got this list of things that need to be fixed or adjusted or changed, and he's been really cooperative. And some of the other people I talked to, when I mentioned that we were a gay rodeo association, they were like, fuck off. Whatever, sorry. But they were not happy, they didn't want to play. This guy has just been like, yeah, that sounds fine, let's get it going, let's do it. So he's really been an exceptional person to work with. And again, I want to kudos to Gene for finding him and all the base work and getting everything initialized. So it was significant. So thank you, Gene. Any other questions for me? All right, thanks.
Good job.
okay, but rest assured, there was a misunderstanding here, so we will get that up to date. Okay? As soon as, after this rodeo, we'll get it all up to date. Okay. Then so I want to personally thank Gene and Christopher. There's a whole lot of work that a lot of us have done. Michael, Gene, Christopher, and I have spent days in a room figuring some stuff out. And after talking to Christopher recently, we are so antiquated that if we can go through this year and work all the bugs out of it and be ready to go next year, at least we've accomplished something. But moving forward, so I don't want to ever stress David and Bruce and Pork Chop and all those people. We will never do that. Christopher goes, he's been so great to, he's been planning to travel to most every rodeo that he can and sit in the background and do this. Christy helped in Palm Springs, which helped him a lot, so that's the reason he's asking anybody that that can sit in there. When Gene was in Phoenix, it was overwhelming for Gene because he was trying to do the same thing. And because you're really doing a lot of manual entry now that we're using it to enter, certainly helps. We understand the issues and we'll try to get it to where it's simple, but folks, I enter a lot of stuff other than this, and it's no different than all that. You have to be a grown-up about it. You have to enter, know your partners, know their numbers. I have them all on my phone. Some of this stuff, we're trying to move forward from like babysitting everybody. We're trying to move forward where everybody pays for everything before they get to the rodeo, so people aren't up all late at night. We're trying to move forward with all this, and so please understand, that's what this is all about. We're not getting any younger. So people are up till midnight and you have to get up early the next morning. And so I'm hoping that this gets to where it's like a push of a button and things are done, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So.
One thing I wanted to point out that working with Gene and Chris and Candy and them, is when this gets fully implemented, when you compete in your event, and as soon as we have entered the scores, which happens during the event, when we say it's done, the contestants will get an email and say, hey, you placed 8th, or hey, you placed 1st, what have you. You don't have to wait for it to go on the posting board. You'll be able to see where you placed. And you won't have to go to in the morning to see, oh, am I first or am I last in such and such event. And when you wake up in the morning, you just log on, oh, I'm in the middle of the barrel race or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's going to be...
It even does real time, like
Yeah.
if you have it on your phone, and let's say there's 30 men barrel racers and you ran 5th, and they're like on 16 and you're wondering where you're sitting, you can look and it does that. So, you know, moving forward, if we get all the bugs worked out, you know, and it's all based on our rules, I have to tell you. That's our problem. So, you know, less rules is better, I'm just saying. But thank you, Gene, Christopher, everybody involved. I really appreciate it. I think, Brian, we'll move back to you. Under the executive board reports, you want to do something now, or what? Okay, how about public relations?
Okay, so I'm late. I left my house at noon yesterday. Wound up overnighting in
Did you shower?
Albuquerque. I had not showered. I brushed my teeth. It's up at 3 o'clock this morning to get a flight to get here. From a public relations point of view, we've had really a few contacts, some requests for stories, some kind of routine kind of things. I think the most important, there's two kind of things that are happening that are, I think, maybe intriguing, that I have been contacted from a public relations point of view. Maybe on the agenda already, Candy, I'm not sure, so stop me if it is. We have Reno Rodeo, the city of Reno is interested in having gay rodeo back. And they're particularly interested in the 50-year anniversary, is that even possible, of gay rodeo. The city wants to work with IGRA to have either a rodeo back there or B, the 50th World Gay Rodeo Finals back there. I received a call from the mayor of the city. I was on a phone call with her for about half an hour. Their tourism board, they're pretty willing to bend over backwards for just about anything that we need to get gay rodeo back there and take advantage of some future anniversary that's coming up. Don't ask me because I'm not a mathematician. So that's been going on. In addition to that, the Salt Lake City Tourism Board is interested in having conversations with IGRA about having a rodeo there also. We did get a call from, on an unrelated subject, we did get a call from a television station in Toronto, Canada, primarily from the press around the Calgary rodeo, but they may have reached out to some of you and are interested in potentially doing a documentary or docuseries. So I spent some time with her. I know she's contacted a number of contestants. I don't know yet if any contestants have contacted her back for that docudrama process. Has anybody in the room been contacted?
What was her name?
Well,
No.
I don't have that.
Me either. I'm
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. But anyway, I know some of them have. Check your spam box. Anyway, other than that, from a public relations point of view, there is one other thing. As you know, during Zia Rodeo is also the anniversary of Stonewall. Can't remember which one.
50th anniversary.
50th anniversary of Stonewall. IGRA does have a permit to march, and there are some people from the East Coast specifically, I believe, and Kenny, you might help me with this.
They're, right, some fishers and all that.
You tell them who's.
Okay, so I bought us a permit. Alexis Cole is the lead. You had to have a lead and they had to take courses to make sure that they knew how to get everybody lined up in the parade or whatever. I know of close to 20 people from all over that will be there. Alexis, Jameson, Anthony, Chicken Nugget, a big group from the Texas area, Mark Larson, some of the people from the East Coast, but there's quite a few people that are going to be there. I had a banner made, the long carrying banner, so we're pretty excited about it. And we're going to make sure that we send them plenty of blast, because I think I made up to 20 people or something. Anyway, so.
Yeah, so it does kind of conflict with Zia Rodeo, but we felt like, hey, we got to be there. We got to have a presence. I understand Sonny will be there partially dressed. Sonny Kramer will be partially dressed, so that's of interest to you. Any questions for me on the public relations point of view?
I know we also had an inquiry about 4 Points, New Mexico was interested, and they didn't seem to know about Santa Fe. And I know you reached out to them and said, hey, we got this rodeo in New Mexico, and then we have that professor from the University of Missouri, I believe. Were you involved in that?
I don't believe so.
That just came out like in the last week. Okay.
Strangely enough, we've had contact from Silver City, New Mexico, and 4 Points, the Four Corners, New Mexico, on wanting to have the Zia Rodeo in Silver City. Don't know if you know anything about Silver City, but it's like the new gay Mecca that all the lesbians are moving to.
Well, then you'll have plenty of room in Santa Fe.
Lots of plenty of lesbians in Santa Fe
I
to
know, but
share,
they're
we can
moving.
spread it around.
Okay.
So anyway, it's interesting to just see these small communities want to have our presence in their community. I think that's an opportunity that we really need to take a look at from an organizational point of view. I know New Mexico's looking at it, but it does signal to me from a public relations point of view that there's a big gap, a big gap in the rural communities for rodeo. Maybe not so much anymore in the urban areas. And I think it's something that we should think about.
A couple of things I want to say. Randy, I don't know if you can talk about this. I was hoping that Nugget would be in here and talk about it. They did a little different stuff on Facebook. They used some of it was like the advertising type deal. And I was with them like a week ago, and we were looking at some of this at their restaurant. Anyway, they've got some numbers to share with everybody where for this event, it's like thousands and thousands of hits and shares and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of turnout and what happens and everything. And I think all they did was use $200. It was like $200 of like advertising money on Facebook, but it went to all these different avenues, but then it gives you all the data coming back on what all happens with it. And it's kind of astronomical. So maybe we can get them to share with everybody, because I think it will help everybody's rodeo. Something else for benefit this weekend, and I don't know if Randy knows this, but the Real Housewives of Dallas are shooting an episode here during the rodeo, so you might be on TV.
Wow. Our Grand Marshal is Leanne. She's one of the stars of Housewives of Dallas.
Yep. So just letting everybody know you might have to be on a cameo.
So you get showed up, I'll disappoint.
Yeah. So get all the makeup out.
Can't even believe it. Last time I looked last week, that boost number was close to 12,000.
Yep.
Jenny, with that going on, if you could help me make the contact with them. One of the things I think that's really important for us is to make sure that they don't focus on stereotypes for their television. So somebody has to have a serious conversation with them and say, it's not acceptable for you to focus on specific stereotypes. We want a balance of representation.
You go with Randy and Tessie, because I think they know that the one of them is like the lady of the Grand Marshal, so we'll just make sure that they do that. Okay. Any questions for Brian? Okay. Do y'all need like a 5-10 minute break, or we'll move on? Okay, 5 minutes. I'm gonna give you 5.
Chicken nugget was outside.
Oh, you was? Well.
Yeah, you want me to see if
Yeah,
Kathy can come in?
so we'll be back at 10:05 till 10:10.
But it's long.
And there's also, did take it to another show that's taping about diversity.
Fold it over.
Yeah.
Both were not.
Same deal.
Yeah.
No, two different,
Okay.
two,
No. He needs to
here,
talk to him.
this
No.
weekend.
He needs to talk to him.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be Jesse and Boogie's runner.
Okay.
So, we're gonna try to make sure they see the carnival,
Okay.
the contestants, so.
Like when we sing,
I know.
So,
And how hard of magic was that?
Roger, you want to do your archives, please? Yes. Sorry.
Showtime.
Roger Bergman, Archives Chair. I'll talk real quick, just highlight that we did do the donation to one organization in California at the USC Libraries. And thank all those that were in attendance, Candy for coming out to make the donation and sign the papers, and the other 9 people in attendance. Also here we've got 2 archive displays coming up. We're planning to do one in Calgary, and then also at the University of Oregon. That's going to be a 4.5 month display at the University of Oregon, along with the Blake Little traveling photograph on gay rodeo from I think it's from 1982 through, or no, 85 through 92. And they want to have posters, programs, buckles, whatever we can get from that era to go along with the Blake Little photos. And the last thing, what I really want to highlight, I hope you all got the electronic version of the archives wish list. Please get it to your association president or secretary. Send it to your members. And don't just stop there. When you see people, especially people that might have been in the organization a long time ago, maybe they're no longer members, but they might have stuff in their garage or their closets. Dig on these people to please donate it, or at least let us get a photo of some of the stuff that we don't have. Also, I didn't put in on the list, but I know there's a couple of saddles out there, several saddles that have been won at different rodeos. And it would be great if we could get 1 or 2 saddles, at least one for a potential Smithsonian exhibit after a few years, after we maybe change presidents. And one other note here, in the archives wish list for North Star, I said that we needed items, the rodeo program from 2018, but yesterday I dug into my convention stuff and found all of them. So we don't need the 2018 program from North Star. You've got it. I've got it. I'll be giving Frank the programs he hasn't scanned yet. I've got those with me this weekend, so they'll be up online soon. And thank you to Anthony for posting the wish list on the Facebook page. Any questions? For the displays in Calgary and Oregon, I haven't got it together yet. I've got 2 months to get that one.
I think you saw the
post of the poster that we found from the very first North Star?
I don't
But-
do Facebook, so if it was
Oh,
there, I
okay,
didn't
somebody
see it.
commented to me, but I don't know how to, I don't really know how to get that to you, because it's big. I mean, it's like that size, you know. I'm not sure how to get that to you.
If somebody is traveling to Denver, I
They're
will
not
be
gonna
there.
give it to us, they just want to
Oh.
provide you some sort of a documentation of it, because it's not, it was purchased, it came from, we don't even know where it came from, they donated it to a fundraiser, and it just kind of showed up, and Colin Black Bart and I were talking about it and discovered that it was probably the first poster for North Star.
Where's it at?
Colin bought it at the silent auction at our fundraiser that somebody, you know, donated. And we don't, neither one of us know how to get you something like that.
Is it framed or?
It's framed, but the frame will come off. It
Okay,
could
then
But it is nice and flat, it'd be easy to take a photo of it, so.
mailing to.
just take a picture of it, or?
No,
They-
put it
they
in the
don't wanna
mailing
donate
tube,
it, they just want us to
and
be
they
able
can
to
have
get
it
a photo.
scanned and then you can send it back.
So you can have that, something that size
A
scanned.
good quality picture.
Yeah, it seems like it was a, it
Oh,
seems
you
like it
can
was a
take it.
printed
No, I
poster.
mean,
No, you can take a
you
good
can
quality.
take a good quality, high quality picture, high resolution, not with a cell phone,
Right,
and send us that.
okay.
And if they can't get that done,
Then we'll just
they'll
send
probably be
it.
in Minneapolis this next year, or whenever the next rodeo is. If
Okay,
we
thank
can't
you.
get it before that, but yes, we'll get a
Okay,
photo.
thanks.
Brian?
Hey, Roger. The Gay and Lesbian Rodeo Heritage Foundation applied for a grant to pay for the infrastructure around a potential display of archival material at World Gay Rodeo Finals in Scottsdale. So we may get that, and if you, very similar to the Gay Games, where the foundation purchased rented the things and Padre provided the materials. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm working, like I said, for the Calgary display. Some items, buckles and things will be going to University of Oregon for that 4.5-month period, so they wouldn't be available for the Scottsdale, but I've got lots more stuff that could come to Scottsdale. So, and the posters, I can bring posters down. The University of Oregon will be printing their own copies, so I'm going to see if I can get the printed copies from them after they're done.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I will email, I posted or sent the report out. I didn't include the wish list. I will send the wish list out in a separate email to all the associations.
Okay, hold on to it, I'll make a modification on
Okay.
that one thing and send you the new copy.
Okay.
Gene?
Thank you.
Did Travis have anything? Okay. So you want to read the ROC report?
Yep, okay. Ruth Roby, the rodeo official chair, sent in, I may not have included it this morning, but I sent out.
I'll look.
They met on,
Okay, let that one come under with it.
on Wednesday. They discussed where they were with the 2019 officials test completion. Still at least 2 items included in the 2019 rulebook, which we've already talked about, the deco ribbons and the pattern for bell racing. Bruce says, I'll reach out to the rodeo rules chair and secretary, reviewed the members in training for various certified positions. And it says, please send out an updated officials for the missing item. And 2 members have completed training program and are recommended for certification. The rodeo officials committee recommends Tim Smith from TJA for certification as a shoot coordinator, and the rodeo officials committee recommends Carl Smith for certification as a shoot coordinator. We request the board of directors to vote on these 2 deserving individuals and more to come. So the actual certification will be done in the trustees meeting, I think, Brian, is that correct? Their vote for their certification will be done in the trustees meeting versus here. Okay. And that's all you had.
Jack, you got anything on convention?
No current updates. We're working on getting the committee chairs to kind of together to help put everything together. But at this point, no changes. Everything's status quo, and we're all set. Contract signed, and looking forward to having everybody in Denver. It's a great hotel, you guys. Again, I think that CJR is very proud to host you all, and looking forward to having everyone there.
Okay. Amy said something?
Yeah.
You have a Hall of Fame report? Okay.
That's you, the first one to say.
No, Jeff, you got something? Any update?
So I will be prepared at the July meeting for the bids that we'll have for January's university. Been working with, talking to Chris about doing some of the training for the new software there. So we've got some things that we definitely want to make sure are covered. I need to know if any other city or organization is interested, or if anyone is specifically interested in us looking at a particular city to put in a bid for university in 2020. Right now, I had some offering from Midwest, and that has not panned out. So right now, Vegas would be the offering for January 2020. So without any other input, I will go ahead with bids from Vegas, and we'll get this booked. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
As I mentioned in the PR report, there's a lot of interest in gay rodeo from Reno and Salt Lake City. And if I may express my opinion, it may be a good idea to do university there, where we might pull in people from Reno or Salt Lake City to include them in our gay world of rodeo, as opposed to some place that is pretty familiar with gay rodeo. Just a thought. Both of those convention bureaus would bend over backwards to have us there.
Jack?
Could I make a recommendation that maybe Brian, you and Jeff work together to see what kind of incentives we might be able to get? I think that's a fantastic idea. They've been so desiring us to be there. I love it.
We like both of them. Great idea.
Okay. Okay. I think he's going to read the Hall of Fame report.
It's a real long report from Amy for Hall of Fame. Selection of 2019 inductees has been completed. All have been notified. Amy was going to be here today, and Southwest Airlines decided that she did not need to attend today, so they canceled her flight. Otherwise, she would have been here with us today. So that completes the Hall of Fame report.
Short and sweet. Okay. Get through all of them.
Alexis, who's competing in royalty this weekend, she submitted her report. I've got a screen issue on her. The rodeo season is off to a great start. Board meeting, we discussed suggestions to promote a safer running ground and camp events. I'd get direct and read it on. That's what's better. We received reviews from contestants with with working the ground prior to camp events. However, personnel working the ground provided a safer field. We've had some injuries, however, the committee I've got a big white streak through the middle of my screen that I can't get. Consider implementation of a system to track, review, and act as warranted on contested animal injuries. We'll continue to access and monitor throughout the season. Reviewed notes of verbal conversations and correspondence received from members of various associations expressing health and safety concerns of both contestants and animals. We'll continue to monitor and investigate health and safety issues and act as needed. Items of critical importance, member associations are encouraged to be sure they have set of clear action plans with EMS providers, particularly when and how they will be used, i.e. sure they are staged correctly to ensure the fastest response times if needed. Let them know who will be calling for their services within the arena, etc. Ensuring that they provide quality care while maintaining professionalism with those they encounter. Are they experienced providers for rodeo sport events? Interact in a professional manner and be mindful that that the contestant can refuse care, and forcing care after refusal could be considered assault and battery, and standards of care within the scope of practice. Philip Blakely. And that report was included in what I sent out this morning.
Am I the only one that had a hard time following that?
No, you're not.
Okay.
He's having a hard time reading it.
Yeah, I've got a big, like, probably 1.5 inch wide, solid white streak through my screen.
His graphics driver is failing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reached out to Anthony, back up to the $200 boost that we spent for this rodeo. My 12,000 number was a little bit off. It actually reached 39,454 people.
I remember it was big.
Wow. And those are targeted at someone?
It's a targeted boost.
At the
39,454 is the report he just sent me.
Good bang for your buck.
So if you will get with, and I'll get to ask those questions, I think it's really worthwhile for a little bit of money.
Especially for finals,
Yeah.
especially in the Phoenix area, that'd be great.
Let's see, Roger?
When you have a minute to fit me back in, I'd like to say something more.
Go ahead.
Are you done on this last
Yep.
topic? Okay, back to the archives again. Michael said he hasn't sent this out to you yet, but this is a list of all of the rodeos and the rodeo programs that we are missing, or that we don't have enough of. The ones that are in red text, we do not have at all. Those are the ones we really want to at least get a copy to photo, or hopefully get some into the archives. The ones that are in regular black, we need additional copies, but we have at least one. If there's anybody here from MGRA, your very first rodeo was a non-sanctioned rodeo. It was the year before, or a few months before you actually were seated at the IGRA convention. We don't have a copy of that rodeo program, and I'm sure there's probably somebody in Missouri, maybe Oklahoma or Texas, that attended that rodeo. Maybe we can dig up that rodeo program. First one from Missouri, which was a non-sanctioned rodeo. I'll get this to Michael, a revised version, and he'll get it sent out to you. Please get it to your association secretaries to send to your membership.
Thank you, Roger.
Can that be posted somewhere for IGRA so that we could?
This
send
is
a-
being posted on Facebook and is being sent out to the Yahoo groups.
And what about on the website so we could
It's
send a
not on the
URL?
IGRA website yet, but that's something Frank
Yeah,
might
I've
be
been
able
trying
to.
to
The history
figure out where to
website?
put it. Its website's not set up for something
The
like that.
history website?
again, it's not really set up for announcements like that, but.
Well, no, but I just mean the document, so that we could just give people the URL rather than mail them out.
I'll take care of that this afternoon.
So,
and I
so,
will
so
send it
our electronic newsletter, we could just say, look here
Okay.
for the document of what we want.
Okay, I'll do that this afternoon and send the board a notice of where to find it.
Yeah. I like that idea, but sometimes you have to hit people over the head. If you say, look, go to the document, they may not go to it, but if it's right there in front of them, they might.
We
look
don't
at it.
mail physical
Well,
documents to anybody.
electronically, I don't know if it could be an attachment or not, but.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that either. It would cost us and we'd get spam attacks.
Is that on the IJRA website so that people could go to the link and click on it?
That's what we're talking about.
Got it.
No.
Okay. Sam and Buck, are y'all ready?
So for the World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee, we're very fortunate, and I say we, I don't just mean Buck and I, but IGRA for this committee that we have, because usually you have 1, 2, or 3 core people working. We have a group of 7 to 10 core people that are working, and we've got so much done. We meet about probably once every 3 weeks, and by meet I mean a conference call, which have been attended very well, and we get a lot of stuff done, and we try to get them done within 30 minutes, so no one's on the phone too long and get in and out. Right now, we have not, the stock contractor, IGRA again is in a great position because we have 3 stock contractors that really are supportive of IGRA. We have such individual needs compared to most rodeos, and these guys are really involved. So one thing that Buck and I are trying to do is we're trying to put together a book. Basically, we can pass down from committee to committee, year to year for the finals committee. And one of the things that we're coming up with is the bidding of the stock contract. So as of right now, we have not decided on a stock contractor, and I had emailed Candy, we're going to work on trying to teach how to bid our rodeos because they are different, and then that way it's very universal, and it'll help people on their regular rodeos also. It's not just limited to that. Sponsorship, Tito's was going to be our big sponsor. They are not because they have a little conflict of the type of liquor license, so we changed strategies a little bit, and we've instead of going for one big sponsor, we're going for several medium-sized sponsors. We just got Corona on for $2,000, and with that, with medium sponsor size, there will be no exclusivity to any one product. So, in other words, there may be 3 or 4 vodkas out there that could be. Just found out last night, made a great connection with Breakthrough Beverage. They distribute a lot of different liquors, and they're coming on board. They're very supportive of our group. The other strategy that we're going with, we're trying to get a lot of our expenses sponsored. So whether that's the meal, stalls, shavings, all that type of stuff, trying to get individual sponsors for that just to offset cost for us. Let's see. Rodeo officials, there are 2 things that we're going to ask you to vote on, and which I guess will come up during this portion. Okay. So there's 2 things that we're going to ask the board to vote on, one being rodeo officials, and the other is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but 2 of our black shirts have resigned for personal reasons, not anything that was going on with the committee. So we are going to ask you to vote on an additional black shirt at this meeting right now. We have nominations for the Grand Marshal and for Giacchino. Am I saying that right?
Wayne Giacchino.
The Wayne Giacchino Award, okay. So we've extended that date. It was May 20th. We extended that.
The Giacchino is separate from Grand Marshal.
Correct.
So we're not extending Giacchino at this point.
Do you have more than one Giacchino?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're extending the Grand Marshal, and that's going to go till June 6th. And we're asking you to go back to your associations. I have plenty of the applications or the nomination forms with me right here. If not, I can send them electronically to you also. And we would just like to see some nominations come in because we've had a little communication problem on that right now. The other thing that we're asking all associations is to have a fundraiser dedicated to the World Gay Rodeo Finals, that the money will go to that. We've already had several groups that have done this. The Arizona group already has done it twice to the tune of over $1,100. So the response has been really good. If we can get every association, whether you do a rodeo or not, to put on, any little bit helps. And so we're just requesting that, and I'll probably send that out to the entire board, those two things. So right now, I guess I would like, the person that we would like to come in as a rodeo assistant right now is Mipsy Michaels, and he's just been tremendous in everything he's done with our group so far. So I would like to make a motion that,
Seconded.
okay, that the board accepts Mipsy Michaels as rodeo assistant director.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. There you go.
Very good. That's good. Okay, rodeo officials, do we have?
You need to read off that list.
Okay.
Maybe just.
I'll read off the list. Again, that was another thing. It was good, healthy, robust discussion on all this. We came up with, and then our strategy was to, let's go ask that official, once the committee had decided who we'd like to recommend to the board, go ask that official and see if they're willing to accept. And one wasn't, and that was good, so we were able to replace that. So everyone that I'm going to read off this list has agreed that they will come to work the finals. So we have, for the judges, we selected Amy Griffin, Rick Jones, Jack Morgan, and Tom Sheridan. Arena director, Janine McLeod. Shoot coordinator, Denise Stangy. Secretary, Pork Chop. Scorekeeper, Ed Labash. Announcer, Doug Graff. Arena crew coordinator is Devin Garcia. And auditor would be Bruce Roby.
Seconded.
Sam, who were the officials last year?
We had that on our, I don't have that with me. Yes, we had that on the list. We looked at all previous years for like 10 years.
The reason I bring it up is because, the reason I bring it up is because we have a lot of officials, and oftentimes they don't get the opportunity to work finals, either in a junior position or in some kind of entry-level position. They're working all year long, they're doing whatever it is they're doing, and we keep going back to the same people over and over and over again. And I think it's wrong as an organization to do that, frankly, I'll be honest. I think we do need to provide opportunities for others to work the World Gay Rodeo Finals. And I would like to see some sort of process in place that is based on some objective criteria and that includes opportunities for other individuals.
Okay, so when that started convention, because they just went based on the format that they have, right? Where they went through the voting, and then they actually did have other names, and then those people turned them down. So, but we would need to change the convention, when we, on how it's done, because it's done through the WGRF committee, and then that those people are brought to us. So when we need to change it there?
Well, I mean, we need to change it at the source. In my opinion, we need to change it at the source. I'll be a little extreme for a moment. Just for example, it shouldn't be a popularity contest. It should be based on something else. I'm not saying it is a popularity contest. I'm just saying sometimes there's a perception that it could be a popularity contest, as opposed to some objective consideration to people who have been hardworking individuals for this organization for a long time, and it appears to them, again, perception, that they're shut out of this wonderful opportunity to participate in our main event. I don't think that that's good for all of us.
Brian, we've had that exact discussion in our committee. One of the things that ties this committee's hands, or any committee's hands, is the way that the regulation is set up on who is eligible. Because that also plays a big part in kind of what you're saying, like you're saying, the junior judges and things like that. But we did discuss that. We had everyone that was eligible made every one of our lists, is what I'm saying, before we voted. And we did discuss what you're talking about. That's why we pulled up the whole history. We pulled up all the history of all the officials, because we wanted to see what you're talking about. And so, all right, in my opinion, the ones that we've selected are based on merit, not popularity.
I think Jack had his hand up next, and then Travis.
I just want to step back from being on the list and kind of, from the Judges League perspective, have my insight. And both of them, thank you for your diligence work on that. Over the past several years, it's been kind of, I think, the goal of this body to have what is considered the best or the most experience throughout the season, judge, or judge, or any officiate any position of finals, of from the Judge League perspective, of the judges they've selected. Those are the judges that have worked the most rodeos throughout this year and will go into finals with the most experience. So from a quantitative standpoint, there is data.
I know I'm not part of the board, but I did want to bring up, there are people that are local in Phoenix, and to save costs, you could ask them. I'm not saying that this is just Phoenix, but any place you hold a rodeo to save costs, because is it not true that you do have to pay for some of the hotel or whatnot? And to save costs, you can ask people that are within that state or that may be local that are qualified. And that's just food for thought for the future, not that this is to sway your decisions on what your recommendations are now, but just food for thought, because there are people in the associations that the rodeo finals will be in those states, and rather than having to reimburse somebody for an airplane or a hotel, if they're local and they're not staying at the hotel or they decline the hotel, you're then saving that much more money for finals.
Gene?
Something Jack just said, unfortunately, is accurate, but I disagree with it for some of the same reasons that Brian is talking to you. Yes, the judges that are going into it will be the most qualified, most experienced, better word to use, most experienced judges from the previous year. But that's at no fault of the rest of the judging group. That is a popularity contest. It's whoever the associations want to invite to work their rodeo. And it traditionally is the same judges by the associations. They stay with their group of officials many times. So the people who are qualified, who are supposedly qualified and eligible, usually, based on what you said, would not always fall into that category if they were not invited by the association throughout the year. It doesn't mean that they couldn't do a good job.
Michael?
In the old days, I'm just going to speak from secretarial, the timers were either certified scorekeepers or secretaries. Today, we have a set of timers that's like, oh, I always work finals. And they're not certified scorekeepers or secretaries. They're not certified at all. And I know there's been in the recent past discussions of making a point to have the certified officials that their assistants are certified. And I'm not sure if that's discretionary or if it's a requirement. So we may have, your assistant arena director or your assistant shoot coordinator is also certified in that particular position. Now the judges, you've got 4 judges, you only need 3. That's a little bit different. So I don't know if y'all also taken it down to the assistants level as well, if those have been determined as well, or if that's going to be left up to the certified official who will be their assistant.
To answer your question, no, we did not take it down to the assistant.
Okay.
And so timers never even came up in our discussion.
Yes. We have people in our associations that today assume that they will be a timer at finals. I found that out last year. I was like, wow. You know.
I think this is a circumstance that the organization has struggled with for a long time. And, you know, people use the word best and they use different verbiage, etc. But yet, really, we as a body that's responsible, we don't do any objective evaluation of anybody to determine what is best and who is best. So we don't do that. So I'll give you an example. I mean, in my recent experience, a long-term judge made some very poor calls recently. They've been to a lot of rodeos, but you know what? They made some really poor calls, in my opinion. Okay? I would not call that the best. And I believe that we're missing an opportunity to evaluate our certified officials and move this from a more, in my opinion, a popularity contest to something that's more objective and helpful to the organization. So I don't see at the level where the objectivity is coming from, because what you think is the best may not be what I think is the best.
Okay, David,
I just feel like we have a lot of work to do. There's obviously a lot of very impassioned opinions about all of this, but I feel like we're supposed to be dealing with what we're doing at finals this year, and this is all sounding more like what we need to do to make a process for the future. So maybe we need to vote on this and then come up with a subcommittee or something specifically for this for the future.
Okay, I know it's been 10 minutes, so we're in. So, they read we had a motion, you seconded it, right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, passes. Do you have anything else?
Just a couple other things. Website, I don't know if we can actually link to it right now, but it is up and it's ready to go. I think that we set a goal for June 1st, so we're a little ahead of that. As a committee overall, I want to say we are where we want to be right now, and that's because we have such a great group working. We're really happy with where we are. And one last thing I'll add, because I don't think the board of directors has heard this yet. We about 90% sure that we are having a barrel race. James Lowry is going to be putting that together for us. We've gone to Westworld. We talked about the arena conditions because Westworld has a bad reputation for that. What will happen is we will bring in a lot of dirt. We will get up to about 8 inches in there, the type of dirt we need, being watered correctly and everything like that. So that's another income source that's going to come to us, as well as just having the barrel race.
Also, I implore everyone to try to, I know everybody does their own fundraisers. That's evident, we all do it. But this concept that, Sam and I talked about it, Red River's always done it. Ours is this TV raffles this weekend. Everybody will grab some of the TV raffles. All the money goes to the WGRF. So we have 2 big screen TVs. One will be given away Sunday. One will be given away at the finals. Your ticket is good for both raffles. Only the person that get pulled out for the first one won't be one of their tickets anyway. So they're $5, but you get 5 tickets for $20. You get an extra ticket. So that was our way, because it'll be quite a bit more than just, if we do a drag show or something like that. But we're always working towards supporting the other associations. So I hope that, even if it's a $500 one, that's $500 for the WGRF to help get it financed. It worked this last year. I hope everybody knew we did lots of fundraisers and stuff, and that was a good bit of it. Why it was profitable is because we worked at getting it paid for all year long. A lot of great people put a lot of work into it. Thank y'all. Okay. That completes everybody else came in that was on those reports, right?
Correct.
Other old business, Dave? Okay. Update on WGRF Nigeria trademark refresh. Mary, were you still working on that, or you, Brian?
I'm working on that. I had it to submit. We have till this next month to get it submitted to WGRF. I had a bunch of work on my computer and I lost my job, I lost the computer, and I lost all that work I did. So
Got it.
I'll get it redone.
Okay. Okay. Nigeria fundraising procedures. I think Mary did what we requested of her. Not sure if we might just do an offline executive board meeting since it was on executive board.
Okay.
And we'll send it out to them, let everybody look again and have a little call after this, since it was only focused on a small group of people. We talked about the rodeo management system already. Rule books.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of questions in the last week. We did get the rule books, and I reached out to Tommy. All the officials and associations would normally get rule books. I don't think the rule books have been mailed out to the officials and haven't been at the Little Rock or Palm Springs for the rodeo this weekend. But I understand the mailings will get done. So if there are officials or associations that don't have rule books, they should see them in the near future.
Okay. Casey Rodeo, I said that earlier, canceled. Does that, Jack, does that mess up anybody's recertification?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any other old business?
Can I make a comment on the trademark issue?
Yep.
Just FYI, the IGRA trademark that you see, not that one, but the one that you see on your signature panel, that one is dead. So we can no longer use the circle R on that.
Oh, Sonny, you can do that one?
It's not registered yet.
No, we can use TM trademark.
Okay.
But we can't use circle R.
Okay.
Now, in order to get that back and to make it alive again, we would have to start at the beginning and go through the process again completely. So the World Gay Rodeo Finals is on its 8th year review. So hopefully we can salvage the Circle R for the World Gay Rodeo Finals.
That will be done, get it in by next month, and we have to pay a fee to get that re-registered. We'll have to pay $400. That's what it's going to cost us to re-register that. If we wait till after that, there'll be just a late fee, and we have a time for that. When we have a late fee, we can still have it registered. So, but it'll be done. So that part will. For the IGRA, I have not started working on that because that's going to take a whole new process. It's going to take us going back all these years and gathering all the paperwork and everything that we've done as far as trademark.
Has there been any discussion, because every time I mention World Gay Rodeo Finals, people don't associate that with IGRA, that are out of our family, and then they go, well, what happened to the big finals thing? I said, well, that's what WGRF is. And they go, well, why don't you guys do it? And I said, well, it was just kind of a marketing thing. I wasn't there when it happened, but a lot of people don't. Because we were IGRA finals for so long, that WGRF thing was like almost like a new brand for them. And it's almost like creating Coke Light or Coke something else. It's not something that our fan base identified with. And maybe we got to look at, just calling it what it was International Gay Rodeo Finals. Because WGRF was confusing to a lot of people. And Tessie had that same problem with the rodeo last year when they put the posters up. People were saying, well, what's this? And I said, well, that's finals for IGRA. And she goes, well, why doesn't it just say that? So you've changed marketing for people because it appeases us, but then the people that have always been our fans don't know that was a change made for us, not necessarily for them, so they don't attend our thing. And if we want if attendance and our butts in the seats is an important thing for us, then we've really got to consider what our brand is. Our brand is IGRA. We shouldn't go away from it just to create a new shiny object. Because every time we change it, then our fan base may not know that we've made that change. Well, no, I'm just making that a point.
So my question was to clarify the logo that's now out of sync is the picture logo with the horse that has the word going across the International Gay Radio.
The circle R, yeah. The one that has the circle line. That registered is no longer registered. It's still the TN is still our trademark. We still use that. We just
Right.
do the circle R because now it's not
No, that's
registered
fine.
anymore.
I was just clarifying between the two.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
Question? Was there any other, you already asked, but just double checking, any old business?
Dave, do you have any news on the IRS and the menu file?
Michael?
Michael?
Mike, you want to give the most recent update on our refiling?
Yes. At the last meeting, we had a discussion about purposes, and we did develop a statement of purpose that's pretty concise. I have a copy of it I drew all over here. And I sent this out to a few people. I got some positive feedback. And this can change at any time that we decide to change it, so it's not written in stone yet. IGRA statement of purpose. I don't like these copies sometimes, sorry. International Gay Rodeo Association supports country western sports heritage through education, training, competition, and recognition in rodeo and other associated activities by developing, enhancing, and maintaining standards of amateur rodeo production, competition, and sportsmanship. And so we're using that, refiling the taxes. The big change is we've moved the IGRA finals to call it a special event. And what that does is that's what it is by definition if you read what special events are and what they do and how they relate to charitable purposes for a 501c3. It actually then raises the actual program percentage of our function to a much higher number. And again, that's what we want to do. There are three components of a nonprofit business. One of them is what you do because of who you are, and that's called program. That's the most important thing about you, and that's what you really need to focus your efforts on. The other two things are fundraising expenses, and that's the money you put out in order to have the funds to function your programs. And the reason that's important is it's important to keep that down, keep your fundraising expenses down. The big problems you find with charities, a lot of charities that have absolutely huge fundraising expenses, and you hear a lot of this. This is a very current conversation that's been going on a while. It's in the news a lot for the last few years because you've got a number of charities, and I'll give you some examples. Veterans charities are some of the worst ones recently. They've gotten a lot of bad publicity, where you have folks that hire paid fundraisers where I get it all the time. The fire, somebody calls you and says, basically say, we're going to let your house burn down if you don't give us money, is what they say on the phone. But that person making the phone call usually keeps about 75% of every 75 cents on the dollar, and your local fire company might get 25% if they know that you're being called. And so that's the bad stuff. And indeed on our tax forms, you report things like who are you paying to raise money for you, and how do you control those expenses? And then the third component, which you also want to keep down, is called general and administrative. And that's the stuff you do, business things to keep your business going. And that's a focus for us is actually we have one employee, and historically we've called that person an administrative assistant. That's kind of a bad title from the standpoint of somebody that doesn't know anything about what we do might see the title administrative assistant and say, oh, well then in those three categories, one of them is general and administrative assistant must be 100% administrative. That's not true for us. Our person that we call the administrative assistant actually does a lot of work for our programs. And our programs are defined in our statement of purpose pretty easily. They are education, training, recognition, and standards. Those are the 4 key words. So things that we do that relate to those 4 key words that define us are things that make us look good and perform well as a charity. So anyway, our taxes have been, our accounting and tax structure, I'm trying to adjust so that it focuses on program activities and it tries to focus us psychologically on program activities, because it's important not just that our finances follow this charitable ideal. It's important that our board and our activities follow this ideal. And so anytime you're thinking about doing something as a representative of IGRA, you should be saying, hey, how does this promote heritage? How does this promote education? How does this promote training? How does this promote competition? How does this promote recognition? How does this promote our standards? And as long as you're doing those things, you're doing program activities. And as a member of the board, you do have a direct benefit for having us be a 501c3. I hope you know that your expenses for attending this meeting are tax deductible for you. Did you know that? Because you came here to do the work of IGRA, a 501c3 charity. To the extent that you're here to do that work, your expenses are tax deductible, as long as you itemize. And so anyway, getting back to the long and short, we're refiling the 2017 and we're going to file the 2018 in the same format. There's 3 schedules we'll form. The base file, the base schedule, the 990, which is 12 pages. The 990A, which is 8 pages, 5 of which are blank for us, which is that's nice. We know there's 5 blank pages in an 8-page form. That's always a sweet thing to do, to say, not applicable, because that form talks about hospitals, schools, things we aren't. And then finally, we will file a Schedule G in order to report the finals rodeo information. So it's a little, actually I think it's simpler once you go into your chart of accounts and you categorize the accounts, then it's actually pretty easy year after year to keep producing the taxes. And so I do have a list of people who want to see the form. It's going to be available to everyone. And indeed, because we don't file Schedule A, I always get A and B confused. We don't file Schedule A, which has a really sensitive page 2. Our tax form, as filed, we can post on the internet without question. There is a law that says, a federal law that says our taxes must be available for review by anybody who wants to see it. And the only thing we are allowed to do is we can charge somebody photocopy of mailing expenses if they want a hard copy. But we are required to give it to anybody who asks for it, except for page 2 of Schedule A. And when I tell you what that is, you're going to say, of course, it's obvious. It's the list of all your contributors who give you more than $5,000. And that's really so that if I give $5,000 to IGRA, I sure as hell don't want to then create somebody start harassing me to give them $5,000. So it's people that are mining lists. That's what they would use that for in a negative way. And so the privacy of your donors can be kept by not having to publish it. So if we did have donors giving us that much money, we would file the taxes with that, and we would extract that page before we put that on the internet or make that available for people. I'm very close to getting finished. I thought I was going to have it done by today, but then I had this little technical problem. I was doing some work on a different computer. That's why I have two computers with me here today. One that's old and ancient and it's a piece of shit, but it actually works, and one that's new and turns out it's really a piece of shit. I can't get the software to work on there. Any questions?
So you think by the end of the month?
Yeah, hopefully by the end of the weekend. I'm that close. I will say David did file the extension for 2018. It's an automatic thing. Our taxes for 2018 were actually due on May 15, which is 4.5 months from the end of your fiscal year is when your taxes are due if you're a business, versus 3.5 months if you're a person. And so we have filed for an extension. So in theory, we have till November 15, but we're not waiting till November 15. We're going to get this done. We'll file the amended 17 and the 18, and we can file them together. The only thing about the 17 amended, you just check a box saying this is amended. And we're kind of small potatoes. No one's going to be concerned that we're filing an amended return. And the base numbers are not going to change, which is our total assets at the beginning and end of the year, and the total monies moving through us. It's just the way we would classify them. We don't even have to say why we're amending it. We just amend it. But thank you, David, for filing that extension. Like I said, it'll be good for us to think about as we spend money, try to spend our money in a way that meets our program, so we can classify our expenses as part. And the essential part of that is you're going to have choices how you spend money in the future, and how you talk about how you're spending that money. You could spend it on the same thing. I can buy rodeo numbers, and I could accidentally call those. A general printing and publishing expense, but in reality, they are part of our rodeo standards and and facilitating rodeo development. And so that's a program cost. It's a printing cost. And so we just need to think. We think to yourself, we're a charity. Let's spend our money to promote our programs, and we are the charity. Historically, our royalty folks have raised money, quote unquote, for charity, and we gave it to other people. There is no problem with giving money to other people. But another thing we ought to think about, when we do give money to other people, what is the link between what we do and our programs and what the people we're giving, the outside people we may give money to, how do they connect to us from a program standpoint? That's kind of an important thing.
Any other old business? Okay, we'll move into new business. Consideration of 2020 rodeo applications.
RJ, that's y'all.
No, sorry.
We've got the application on the screen. This is next February's Arizona rodeo, and it does have a variance request for the arena that we typically see.
Yes, we're just doing the variance just for the arena. We're not gonna do like we normally do a limited rodeo. We're not requesting a limited rodeo. So that's the only variance that the only thing that we have is just for the arena. That's the 131/3. So it'd be at Corona Ranch again.
You have a motion to accept?
Ron said the check was in the mail. I received it.
Yeah, I've got a photocopy of the check.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
My only concern again, and I think it'll be David's, is that we continue to struggle on the ground there. So that needs to be really a priority, because we went from bad, good, to barely getting by. When we got there on Friday, it was dangerous. They went down. Brian went down 2 years ago the same way, trying to practice. So it needs to be perfect on, when we get there on Friday too, because the contestants are out there, and it was dangerous on Friday after the board meeting when I got out there. So, that's gonna have to be something that, I don't know, it goes back and forth, RJ. And before, this board was considering not approving it because of what happened. A lot of us spent a lot of money to get there. The one year that it got canceled, and really, to me, that was like a lot of safety. It wasn't as rained as it was safe. Greg lost a year of, competing and still struggling with some of that stuff. And so, can you talk on that subject? Was it even discussed with the Coronas?
From what I know, is I'm also I was on the rodeo committee last year, and I know that was brought up again. And with Ron being the rodeo director again, that was brought up to him as a concern for this year, as we had heard last year about the dirt, and I know some of the contestants that showed us the different things. Like me personally myself, I don't know much about the dirt, so I listen to people, and that's kind of where we go from. I can tell you that it was brought up to Ron and Michael Weeman, his assistant, and they said the answer that I got from them, because I figured that it was going to be asked here, was that they had talked to the Coronas and that the Coronas had taken care of it, and so that they would take care of it for us this coming year. But they also thought that it was really, this is coming from them, they thought that they had taken care of it and it was good for us this past year. So, I can go back and tell them exactly what we need. If you guys tell me exactly what we need, I will go and relay that to him. What you want, because like I said, I really don't know. I'm not going to go back and try to say this is what we need right now. No, but I'm saying that you tell me. I'm more than happy to go back and tell them this is what we need. But like I said, I personally, I don't know about that stuff. They're saying they're going to do it for us, but they told us this past year they would have it really good and ready for us, and they said it was, and I know that there was different issues. So
So this year, if I can just, they did work hard. It was just maybe a little bit misguided, like to tarp a whole arena for us and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That had good intention behind it, and that's great. But like all the work that he did tarping the arena and everything, didn't do anything compared to what he had to do then right before the rodeo, which was to scrape dirt in and all that stuff, which needs to get done ahead of time, and it's crucial, very, very important. And I think we've talked about this before. For 2 years now, have been in Phoenix because Greg, my best friend, lives there, and have offered to go over as contestant liaison and talk with the Corona Ranch folks who I have a relatively good relationship with, and it immediately is blocked to let us do our job. And we've talked about that before. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I actually am trying to help, and I'm more than willing to be there ahead of time, weeks ahead of time. And, then I would feel confident putting it on Facebook or whatever social media. Hey guys, Phoenix is doing a really good job of getting the arena prepped. Have confidence, show up for the rodeo. But, I just want you to know the rodeo committee there has been standoffish at best. And
Is that who blocked you with the rodeo committee? Who you were saying kind of blocked when you made
it wasn't Corona.
It was not the arena
Corona.
itself.
No.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
It happened to David and I. Because this board, the 1 year after the disaster, the board approved the rodeo based on the promise that the dirt was going to be perfect or better. And when David and I both reached out, we were both met with, it was none of our business. And I reminded them, no, it was, because that was why this board approved it. So that's the reason I'm not,
No, I know,
and
and
I
that
have
was
to
something-
apologize, but this is very,
And that was something that we brought up, like I said, with us being on the road committee, that was something that we brought, that some of us, our members, brought up to you, and we just really don't have any control over that, some of us members over that part of the arena or anything to do, with that. And that was our concern. I mean, we did bring up our concern too, because we heard it from a lot of you guys that were out there and watching you guys and seeing the different things too. And that's just what we get told. I know you guys weren't out there, and I can't tell you that we're going to be able to get you guys out there. I can't tell you that we can.
you know what, we have a suggestion. It's gone on too long. How about we just we're gonna table this and allow you, to go back and tell them that we have concerns and that we need these answered before this rodeo can be approved. How's that?
Okay.
Is that fair? Is anybody against that? Because this was the same concern before, and coming to us later and them telling you kind of what they told David and I is not gonna work.
I make a motion to table this.
Okay,
Second.
thank you, appreciate it.
Discussion and vote.
Okay,
Discussion. Does it conflict with any requirements for them if they wait until the Denver meeting? You know, all those rules about how long? 6 months prior to.
It's 6 months prior to your rodeo. Right?
that'll still be okay, right?
Yeah, because ours is February 19th, I believe it is. And that's only gonna be.
It'll be fine, it'll be in process, and we
Yeah,
just table it.
as long as
so I
you're
think
in
it's
process
okay.
of.
Yeah, and it still will hit right before the 6 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jack?
If I might make one suggestion, you may want to work with David and Candy and stuff and put some specific language, detailed language in the contract with Coronas about the condition of the dirt. Just a suggestion.
It's a great suggestion, but the problem we run into is we already have a signed contract with them that's an extended contract. So we can't make any changes to our contract at this moment. But for the future, we could definitely do that.
You could probably do an addendum.
To do an addendum or letter.
Yeah, we could try to.
With any contract, you can do addendums.
I've just said this is just the
But
information I get told.
only if both parties are willing to sign it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
The
that's,
Corona
you're
arrangement
absolutely
itself.
correct, but if they don't agree to these demands, then it's over.
I understand that, I'm just,
I don't think our problem is with Corona Ridge.
No.
I'm sorry.
Our problem is not with Corona Ridge,
Oh, gotcha.
okay?
Misunderstood. Thanks.
So that's the reason RJ will,
Thank you.
she'll have to be the bearer of it. But
That's fine, it is.
I'll be happy to help,
Okay.
because I had the conversation before already.
All right.
If she can be a steer decorator,
Any other discussion?
she's dog and champion, she's got this in the bag.
Go ahead, sorry.
Just a process question, I'm not sure. So, we had the rodeo application. Did we have a motion to approve the application or no? Does laying it on the table mean laying it on the table for discussion later in this meeting? Or are we postponing it until
That was probably my problem.
the next meeting? Because laying it on the table means, we'll talk about this later when we come back after lunch.
Okay,
As opposed to, we're not voting on this now, we're voting on it.
I thought it was tabled till the Denver meeting is what I thought, so that's kind of how I wrote it.
table, you have to be careful with that.
okay.
Yeah, using the word.
Let me rescind my motion and I'll reword it.
So you could postpone consideration. If you table, you have to actually then have a vote, which requires 2/3 to pull it off the table.
So yes, I would just actually like to postpone the vote on approving this rodeo until we have more
Information you put in the board meeting.
at the Denver board.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay. Insurance, Tommy?
What? Anything to talk about as far as the change of and everything's all.
Oh, no, we're good.
Okay. There was, I get lots of emails, Michael, I think I shared it. There was a gentleman that reached out that does, it's called Spotlight Equestrian Arts. So, I'll put that, is that on the attachment?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I have no idea the prices or anything else, but it's something that if you want entertainment at your rodeo, it was shared. So I told it we would share it, so, okay?
What I may do is just I'll just forward this email to all the
Yeah, perfect.
associations.
Just support the associations and that's perfect.
I will say something about the insurance.
Okay.
I will back up to insurance. If you are considering your stock contractor insurance from Caliph Insurance, what I want you to understand is that when you are doing that, it is an add-on to our current IGRA liability policy. And that has happened a couple of times already this year. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And that's why you get such a low premium, is because it's an add-on, it's not a new policy. Very economical. So if you do that, when you get your COI or certificate of insurance, it is under the IGRA policy. So it will look different from the previous COIs that you have received from a stock contractor who has purchased his coverage from another source. And that's why the most recent ones that went out, DSRA, TGRA, and we'll see the same thing with New Mexico. It will look a little different in the wording. Okay?
Okay. Chris Connor, University of Missouri request, what was that one?
That was an email from the professor.
Okay. Sorry, too many people.
That was the University of Missouri professor, wanted to do some interviews and research.
Did you have that one? You read it, forward that to Brian this week.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that was that, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Screw, forward that to Brian too. Just so he has it.
We received, they just CC'd a couple of us, we added to the agenda. There was an email from, his name is Chris Connor. He's a professor of sociology at Knox College, but he's going to Missouri, University of Missouri. He asked, I'm writing because I'm visiting professor at the University of Missouri, Columbia, and I'm teaching a 381-person section of the sociology of sport this fall. While most sections of this class completely leave out LGBT and narratives, I'd like to include you as part of the discussion. Would someone from your organization like to appear as a guest lecturer via Skype or in person? Maybe somebody from Kansas could be there. Please let me know if you're interested. This is a chance for you to have a meaningful impact on a large group of students, get your message out, and even change lives. And he said, I hope you'll take this chance to be part of a dynamic educational experience. So we'd like to basically put that out there for anybody that would like to be a part of that. And we told them to get back to me. Is there anybody that would be interested in whether it be a Skype or going to Missouri to be there and be part of it?
Where in Missouri?
It's back in Kansas City. He's at Knox College currently, but he will be in Missouri, University of Missouri. I actually don't know where that's at.
Columbia, wherever that is, Missouri.
So, but if anybody would be interested in doing that, reaching out to them and talking.
Mary, remember the lady from, remember her name, from Missouri that wanted to use, make a few things? I mean, we didn't bring it up with Tommy, did y'all all discuss that? Like Brian was on that email too?
Yeah, we didn't really discuss it, I think. was something we were asking about as well.
She had said something to us in Arkansas about making a few trinkets with the IGRA logo on it.
So Angela Parker from
Yeah.
Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
They would like to get permission to use the IGRA logo as well as World Day Rodeo Finals decals. They want to put them on like cups, mugs, just items that they can sell. And they're asking if they can do that, and part of the money would come to IGRA, part of it would go back to purchase the items and things like that. So I think the question
Yeah, sure.
is, can we do that, and how do we control what comes to us, or can we, or can just do a percentage maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, when I talked to Angela in Little Rock, I encouraged her to do this for herself and for IGRA exposure. And so it would be just something that we would ask her for 5% or something of her sales that has an IGRA logo on it or something. I'm not sure what the going rate is. We've not done that before. We have discussed it before with vendors, but never got a follow through on it. So it would just be up to this body to approve her to use that, or anybody else for that matter, and what percentage we feel is fair.
And they would use, if they use the trademark logo.
They would either use IGRA or the WGRF.
So I think this goes, I think it's a fantastic idea, and probably 10% or whatever, but I think it kind of, Brian might be able to answer this, because this relates to the trademark copyright logo, right? In which, in where our risk and potential exposure is, if we say, yes, you can do it, but we don't have, if it's no longer, correct me if I'm wrong, no longer registered, but trademark, they could technically go out and then do it on their own and not pay us, right? Or vice versa, whichever, but, I mean, there's exposure, right?
So the best way to handle this situation, it's a good question, Jack. Yeah. It's an excellent question. So the best way to handle this is for us to decide that, yes, you're approved to put our logo on your thingy here and sell it, and you'll give us a percentage of 20%, whatever we agree upon. You're absolutely right. We should see what they're putting out first of all and approve that.
That's right, yeah.
We don't want it on
dildos.
Thanks for saying that. We don't want it on that.
Well, I don't know, maybe we do, I don't know.
Represent us well. Or poor quality, or all those other things that have reputational impact, right? So we want to make sure they have the trademark thing versus for IGRA and registered for, Jack, they can't steal, well, I take that back. If they steal our logo,
It's up to us to fight.
it's up to us to fight it for the trademark, and it's up to the U.S. government to fight it for the registered trademark. Okay? So it's not likely they're going to do that, right?
Right.
Exactly. So
Brian, I'm happy to handle that responsibility if the board entrusts me that quality is good, a mug is decent, and or a drink, a cooler, a koozie, that kind of thing. I have no problem. I've talked extensively with Angela about this, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. Handling that, if I have a question, I certainly will.
Somebody should probably make a motion at this point.
Yeah, so I was, just one thing, and then I was gonna make a motion. I'm just, maybe I'm being overly cautious. I just don't want us to get in a situation like we did in good faith with the Gene Autry Museum and stuff. So, just trying to be cautious. I'd like to make a motion and we move forward with the development of this endeavor. How's that, IJ merchandise and,
Second.
oh, sorry.
getting your attention.
I withdraw my motion until Roger speaks.
You can make the motion. Discussion happens.
Guys, we go ahead and make the motion, Jack, so we can talk about it.
I make the motion that we move forward with the development of this endeavor in partnership with.
I'll second it. Now we can discuss.
Roger.
I just wanted to mention before you go too far, it seems to me, it's been a while, I'm not as familiar with the bylaws as I used to be, but there's like a paragraph in there that talks about the use of the logo, what's required for the associations to print, but I think they also talk about use of it for items for sale, and there may already be a percentage in there, so you need to look that up.
I don't think there's a percentage in there that I'm aware of either. Just use of it has to be approved.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Okay, it's approved. So, we,
I do have a question. I mean,
Oh.
that was very, very quick.
Sorry?
No, that's okay, that's okay.
But-
Are we going to, okay, you said okay to that. What's the percentage we're gonna ask for? We need a signed, we need a quick and easy agreement
okay.
with
Do
that
you wanna-
percentage in there.
Do you want to come up with that? And
We'll do it.
And we can, do we need to make?
I'll just record in the minutes the time it's going to get a signed
Okay.
agreement.
Okay.
Do we need to give you instruction as to a range that we feel is acceptable and you'll do within that range? I mean, I heard you say 5%, 10%, I heard 20% over here. What, is anybody prepared to tell us what an acceptable arrangement would be in a situation like this? Or are we literally?
And I will add, thank you very much. That's exactly what my next question would be. And we are talking items under $20 range.
So if we're doing 15 or 20%, it's going to be a nominal amount, essentially, per se.
A $10 item, 10% would be $1.
Minus their
Just throwing that out
expenses. Minus their expenses.
Is it gross or is it net?
Yeah, that's gross. That's what you want to do.
Our percentage would be of their selling point.
Of their sales price.
Of their,
I would say, I make a motion that we ask for 10% of their sale price to come back to IGRA.
10% of the gross.
And the sale price here.
10% of the point of sale.
So if it's $5, if they're selling it for $5, 10%. I mean, it's not much.
Quite frankly, I don't know if that's high or low.
On that type of an item, I can tell you that the margins are not that big, and 10% would be fairly adequate, I think,
I know in
of
my-
the selling
in my
price.
business,
Oh, is there a second on
I'm
this?
sorry, yes. In my business, I pay 10% for someone to sell my product.
I get 10% if I sell a horse, you know, kind of more.
Yeah, I think 10% is fair.
10%?
Other discussion?
Who seconded that?
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Okay, we'll
We'll
take-
accept more if they want to give it.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna take like a 20-minute lunch break. They're back here. Your lunch has been provided by TGRA. Please, we're just gonna, we got a big day today, so, be back at noon, okay? Chuck?
Yeah, we'd like to invite everybody up for the inaugural Canadian Rockies Rodeo North, which is the 500th sanctioned IGRA rodeo. It is indoors at the Nutrien West Event Center, which is right on the Calgary Stampede grounds. It's minutes from downtown Calgary. Our dates are August 2nd through the 4th. They're having a rodeo school on Friday, and Friday night they're also doing a dance in the beautiful Rotunda, which is just steps away from the rodeo arena. Doing Saturday and Sunday morning breakfast. Saturday night, the party, which is a huge dance in the Big Four Roadhouse, right across from the arena. It's all about getting back to the dirt and getting back to the party. Things they can offer the contestants. If they compete in a minimum of 3 events both days, they receive an entire weekend package, which includes the dances, the breakfast, and everything else. There will be added purse for speed events, rough stock events, and roping events. Large indoor arena horse stalls are indoors and just 20 feet from the arena. The arena ground footing will be exactly as we requested. Your first horse stall is free. Your second one is 25 Canadian, which rounds out to 18 US. So there's a little savings there. Tax stalls are $40, 29 US. And when you book your rooms and everything else, just realize that the exchange rate is in our favor. So if it's saying it's 109 for a hotel room, I think that's like 89 for American. So we welcome everybody up and look forward to seeing you in Canada. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now we will move into the NPR meeting. So, David, you will have to leave us now.
I'm sorry to do that.
I know,